This is a little messaging that the Republicans are doing to show from the moment the convention was gavelled in, there you go, right there, from the start, to when the convention ends, how much debt the country is accumulating here. This has been a big part of the message from Mitt Romney all year long about spending, and you can tell they gavelled in at 2 o'clock this afternoon, and we're already up here at $349 million.
Yes, and I went and looked at some of the issues, of course, in our poll, and obviously on the deficit, Republicans doing much better on that issue, trusted more by Americans. On the issue of Medicare and some other ones we can talk about later, but that's where it's a little bit closer. But the deficit, Republicans certainly have an advantage, and they really want to promote that. Of course, we would like to bring in our next guest. Very glad to have him. This is Republican Congressman Chaffetz from Utah. Thank you for coming in and joining us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Now, the first question is a home state question, which is this. I know Salt Lake City was in the mix at one point.
Yeah.
Are you kind of wishing we were in Salt Lake City now?
It would be a little bit drier. And, you know what? They were having a great time in Florida. But for me, being in Utah, it's kind of fun to be in Florida. But at some point, I hope Utah and Salt Lake City gets a chance. We hosted the Olympics. We could do big events. It's a great place to have a convention. And at some point, I hope we're able to host the RNC.
I'm a big fan of Salt Lake City. So if anybody's listening,
Sundance, right?
Listen,
Sundance
it's great weather, no humidity, big fan.
Okay. Exactly.
Congressman Chaffetz, obviously you've been a big supporter of Mitt Romney as you campaigned throughout the whole nomination season.
Yeah.
You are on the phone and talking with the campaign all the time. How much, a sense from inside the campaign right now, concern that the messaging here is being overtaken by news events, and does there seem to be a lot of concern about that inside the campaign? Well,
look, the big moments are the next 3 nights, because an opportunity for the country to hear Ann Romney, to hear Paul Ryan, and then hear Mitt Romney with the introduction by Marco Rubio. So, and I think actually when you hear Bob White talk about his story, I think people will be amazed. It's not on anybody's radar screen, but it's an amazing story. But for Mitt Romney to spend a good portion of the time introducing him and his family and his vision for America to the country, it's a big moment. So that night's probably much more important than, say, a Monday night. But boy, this is game on. You have less than 60 some odd days by the time we leave here, and that's when I think most of the country will really start to focus.
I want to talk to you a little bit about the Tea Party and its impact on this convention.
Yeah.
You obviously know a little something about the Tea Party, having been very engaged in that. There are going to be a lot of folks who were elected in 2010 up on that podium behind me during the week. And at the same time, this convention feels sort of like any other convention that I've been to. So I'm wondering, what impact do you say that these outsiders had on changing the very established convention?
Well, I look back to when I was here January and February campaigning on behalf of Mitt Romney, and there were very few of us that were doing that at that time. It wasn't quite so evident that he was going to be the nominee. And I look at the thing that united the party was its desire to defeat Barack Obama. I think the country recognizes that it's off track. It needs a new direction. It needs a turnaround. Now, back earlier in the year, I didn't quite know who was going to be the nominee. I thought Mitt Romney was the best person, but I saw as soon as Rick Santorum dropped out, the coalesced behind Mitt Romney very swiftly. I mean, that was a pretty smooth transition. It could have been a lot more raucous. You have a lot of Ron Paul supporters across the country. You got some real libertarian-minded people. That's good, but I think we can become united in defeating Barack Obama. But is there something
about the program or about just the message of this convention that's different because of the Tea Party, because of its influence here?
Well, look, I mean, when you hear from Rick Santorum and you hear from some of the others, Newt Gingrich and the others, I think Paul Ryan helps bring that group together. I spoke to a Tea Party-oriented group last night, 2,000 people. They were fired up. They were really excited. So we haven't felt that energy yet here because we haven't yet gathered, but I think it'll be electrifying when we hear from Mitt Romney.
But is there a difference between a unified party in opposition to Barack Obama and Mitt Romney's Republican Party? And he's now the titular head of the party. He's going to stand up here. He's going to receive the party's presidential nomination. Is he? How have you seen him sort of use that mantle as titular head of the party and put his stamp on the Republican Party in this campaign?
Well, since the obvious securing of the nomination, the first really big decision is something that I think the country really liked, certainly the base liked, in the selection of Paul Ryan. that was a signal that not only are they serious about solving the nation's problem, they want a mandate, but they're going to play offense. They're not just going to sit back and hope that it's just a referendum on Barack Obama and his presidency, but really an opportunity to say, look, we have a plan. They are two totally different visions for America. There is not only a referendum on Barack Obama, but there's also a choice that needs to be made here about the direction of the country. And so when Paul Ryan came on board, that just really solidified things that we've got our act together. We didn't just go pick somebody because, well, geographically that fit well. It was the right guy, and they got a plan.